We Have Issues is a weekly podcast full of reviews of comics and oversharing. We use grown-up language to make very childish jokes. You can find the show at wehaveissues.net, as well as anywhere else where average to not too bad podcasts can be found.
You go to the red light district because it's almost part of the tourist trail, but I've never been tempted.
I never made it because we were always walking.
Well, that's not true. I've been tempted, but I've never.
I nenever made it because whenever I've been there, we'd be walking up there later on in the day, and we'd want the enthusiasm was there, but we were starting to get hungry. Are you talking about
yourself as in you're more than one person, or you're with more than one person?
I was with two other people. I didn't go by myself.
What you need to do, there's a method for doing Amsterdam, right? And what you do is you put your stuff in your hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the nearest brown cafe. You get as fucked as you can.
Mm-hmm.
You get the fear, and you have a horrible couple of hours while you've got the fear and you're freaking out and you're whiting out and it's unpleasant. Break through that, you're bulletproof for the rest of the weekend or however long you're there.
We maybe we did it wrong. I was there with an old friend of mine called Amy and one of her friends, and we were staying in this room. And
was it a sex break? Were you having sex with these two girls?
No. And
women.
Yeah, but no, we weren't. And so we went, and it was nice. It was more of a cultural thing. We didn't really partake in any of the cafes. We went around, we looked at the rivers. That was nice.
Just go to London then.
No, listen. So we did try and go to the red light district, but because we were leaving it till very late on each night, it was at roughly the same time as we were getting hungry.
All right.
So you walk past all these nice steak places and stuff, and then you're like, oh, shall we go and have some food before we go to the red light district? And then you're too full afterwards to go anywhere. And it's the first place I ever had a mixed grill. My memory of Amsterdam is I think it's the first place I ever had steak.
My memory of Amsterdam is the first place I ever saw Stephen Hawkins.
In person?
He was staying in our hotel.
Really?
Really.
Oh.
My brother-in-law...
Did they have good wheelchair access?
Yeah, my brother-in-law was in a lift with him.
Really?
Yeah, and we first saw him. We were coming back from the Heineken Museum because we were taking some of the culture too. And 3 or 4 of my mates went, fucking hell, there's that Stephen Hawking, and went running over the road after him. Don't know what for.
Did they catch him?
I think his nurse might have told him to fuck off. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I was pretty baked.
We went to the Van Gogh Museum.
I've been there.
That was nice.
Yeah, I've been there.
We spent a bit of time nearly getting run over by bicycles.
And trams, I expect.
Yeah, mainly bicycles, because they're quicker and you can't really see them coming.
I find the trams much
more terrifying. Did lots of people talk to you in Dutch, or did they just assume you could speak English? That you were
I don't remember.
I remember no one ever spoke to me in English, and they were really surprised when they found out it was English.
I got really...
Because I'm tall, apparently.
Yeah, you don't look English.
I got really excited because I found a comic shop that was full of these amazing graphic albums, which was quite unusual at the time because it was the early 90s. Well, not unusual for there, but unusual for here. That was exciting, but they were all in foreign. And... we went to the Van Gogh Museum, and we went to what's that little house with all of where the little girl stayed for hours?
Anne Frank Museum.
Yeah, that's depressing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went to the zoo and the War Museum and Madame Tussauds.
So you clearly had more freedom to get around than Anne Frank did.
Yeah.
She was just stuck in that one room all the time.
What did she have? Scabies,
and a very vivid fantasy life. That has been excised from the record.
Every time I've been there, I didn't want to go to the Anne Frank Museum because I thought it'd be disrespectful to bump into things and giggle.
Well, and the thing is, it's not very big, so you are kind of squeezing through all of these different things, these different alleyways and stuff. You're always bumping into young American pop stars who are there saying stupid stuff. They've hidden all of her dildos and stuff from view.
How many did she have?
No, they put them in another museum. It's called the Sex Museum.
Right, okay.
I went in there. That was terrifying.
We didn't go in there. My weekend might have been completely different had we gone in there. Anyway, so this is We Have Issues.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We talk about comics when we're not talking about Amsterdam and Anne Frank's dildos.
I was having a nice reminisce. It was good.
nice. How many times have you been to Amsterdam?
3 times.
3 times? I just went the once, but I've got a lifetime of memories.
Yeah, I've got 3 lifetimes of memories as a result, going 3 times.
How many times have you been, Jane?
Just once.
It's not a competition. It's okay. James has won, though.
Yeah, I win, so it is a
But
competition.
mine was really multicultural break because we stayed in Brussels and then we went on to Amsterdam.
Oh. How many multiple cultures were you there with? Well, you're quite multicultural yourself, though, anyway.
Yes. We saw beggars from North Africa.
Oh.
And they came up to us going, s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît.
You're not as multicultural as me, because the first 2 times I went was on a coach. And
No, you're just an idiot.
And the coach was very multicultural. The second time we went, we were only 3 white lads on the coach, and it broke down in Brussels, and we went and bought a volleyball from the garage that we stopped in, and we played football.
So it was like that thing in World War One?
Yeah, it was just like that thing in World War
Where they all
One.
played football with each other. Can I take a wild guess? Were you listening to lots of Bob Marley?
No, we didn't listen to any Bob Marley. We weren't into that.
You weren't doing it proproperly then?
The third time we were listening to a lot of Roy Sop. The first 2 times.
Is that how that's said?
Yeah. I don't know what we were listening to the first time. I was baked, mate. I can't remember.
This is We Have Issues. I think I've said that already, but my short-term memory is shot for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Because you went to Amsterdam 20 years ago and you've never been the same. Tell you what, right, if you want to be scared off cannabis, I stumbled across... Jane was talking about Trailer Park Boys on the show the other day. She badgered me to get into it, and I am bang into it now.
Yep.
I'm watching it for the whole way through for the second time at the moment. But I've been on the internet looking for like clips on YouTube that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. And there's this one I'd never heard of the show before. It's a YouTube or a live streaming show. It's called Getting Dug with High, and it's the comedian Doug Benson invites guests onto his show, and they get stoned throughout the video show. So like I was watching it the other day, and they had the 3 guys from Trailer Park Boys, John Paul Tremblay, Rob Wells and Mike Smith, who'd already been to do something with Snoop Dogg before they turned up on the show. If you watch those 3 men, it's a study in fear. Those 3 men, they're so stoned that they look terrified throughout the entire experience. If I had, or when I have a 14-year-old daughter, I'm just going to sit her down, make her watch that. She'll never want to touch the stuff.
Okay.
It looked terrific. That's getting Dug with High. Find it on YouTube.
I don't understand. Shouldn't it be called Getting High with Doug, though?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Because they're all sketchy because they're on the stone medicine.
Do people do that when they're stoned?
I
Get
guess.
words mixed up?
I get it mixed up when I'm just alive.
Okay, cool. So that's getting high, getting Dug
with High.
Getting Dug with High. You'll find that on YouTube. I'll
good.
put it in the show notes.
It's got Jack Black does one, Kevin Smith. It's
Nobody's remote. Is it even illegal?
No, not in LA. They're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's talking about getting stoned all the time on like in interviews and stuff. Ah, okay. That explains a lot. I thought that all these celebrities had suddenly become really reckless.
No, we have to do this stone cold sober, and it's terrifying.
Anyway, the person who keeps talking about getting stoned is James.
I am James.
You can find him on Twitter at JamesMom.
Yeah, James MOMB.
The other person who's been talking is Jane.
Hello.
And you can find her on Twitter at
Cover Jane.
Cover Jane. And I'm Nick, and you can find me on Twitter at NickSite. This is We Have Issues. I promise we'll start talking about comics really, really soon. We do this once a week. Normally goes out on Thursdays, and we'll mainly be talking about comics from this week. But James, I think, is going to talk about something.
I've got a collected edition.
Ah, is it a library edition?
It is. I'll talk about library fun later.
James is a library advocate.
I'm a library addict. Can't get enough.
And also, there's going to be a contribution from Kehaar about. I wrote it down and I can't remember what it was called. Darkie's Mob, which I think is an old British comic I'm assuming. Sounds like it might be a little bit sketchy, so we'll listen to that later.
Jane and I both feel instinctively uncomfortable, I think, about
Yeah.
In the unlikely event that you are one of the new listener, hello, hi. We do have some new listeners. We aren't new and noteworthy anymore. We were new and noteworthy on iTunes in the UK for a little bit, and we got some new listeners. I imagine most of them are gone now again, but that was exciting.
Yeah.
Seat of the pants stuff for a minute there.
Yeah.
You can't be new and noteworthy once you've been new and noteworthy, it's like having the measles.
Really, you can't have it again.
again.
So we've been vaccinated against being new and noteworthy.
We are no longer new and noteworthy.
I think the problem we've got is the whole time we were new and noteworthy, I was scratching it, so it's going to scab over horribly.
But that's good because you'll have a noteworthy scab. I think we might still be in the list, but we've been bumped from the front page of iTunes by a whole bunch of shows that are all called serial spoilers and stuff like that. That are the podcast Serial, which is an amazing podcast, but everyone keeps saying that anyway. That's no longer new and noteworthy because it's a bit older. But there are just loads of these odd little ancillary podcasts that Hangers On have created about spoiling episodes of it.
Welcome to We Have Serial.
We Have Serial. We should start a podcast called We Have Serial.
I don't. I finished that last of the Cocoa Pops this morning, so I don't have cereal.
Is that really cereal? That's just a snack, Cocoa Pops.
Cocoa Pops. I think it depends on your intention when you're eating it.
It's toasted rice, isn't it? It's the same as Rice Krispies, only it's chocolatey.
If you're eating out of a bowl, it's cereal.
Yeah.
If you're eating it with your hand, it's a snack. If you're eating out of a bowl with your hand,
that's a breakdown.
It's a decadent snack. Oh no, actually, yeah, sorry, because you said cereal, not breakfast. So yeah, it would be cereal. Yeah. I'm not sure if it counts as breakfast. Is what I meant to say.
Is that what they talk about? I haven't listened to Serial. I'm assuming it's a review show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's all about cereal.
And cornflakes are crap, so they better slate cornflakes.
It's a bit of a rip-off of all of the videos on YouTube, video series on YouTube where they review snack foods and stuff like that.
That's a proper box opening video, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to open the box. Oh, I've got shredded wheat. Oh, look at all the shredded wheat I've got to eat. Oh, I hate shredded wheat. Why did I buy shredded wheat?
Or fruit and fibre. I'm going to be healthy. Oh.
So anyway, if you are a new listener and you want to listen to, there are 10 previous episodes of talking about exactly the same stuff we've been talking about so far.
And another 250 if you wish to wish to go back to a former life.
Of our previous show, which was called the Momcast, that's all there if you use up all of these episodes. You can find all of the previous episodes of We Have Issues at wehaveissues.net, or you can search for them on iTunes or Stitcher. They're on YouTube and SoundCloud, although they go on there a little bit late.
And I'm assuming it'll be on Radio 4 soon.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they're doing that now, because they've got Serial.
There's a crossover as well. Yeah. The Geek Syndicate guys are on the iPlayer.
They are, so it's only a matter of time. You know,
I think our moment will come.
That's right. I might get a personal trainer so I get all buff, so I'm ready for it.
Right.
I've got at least 2 pairs of trainers that only I'm allowed to wear. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That's a brilliant joke.
Yeah, I know, it's good. I don't think I landed it properly.
What isn't entirely clear is how long we take to write all this.
Well, that's the secret, isn't it? You've just blown it.
It is clearly scripted, but how rigidly scripted?
Yes, that's right.
So you can please do offer us feedback. Less of this stuff at the beginning, more of this stuff at the beginning.
Yeah. Less of the Amsterdam reminiscences.
Yeah, do please send us feedback or rate and review us on iTunes or send us emails at issuespod@gmail.com. You can follow the Twitter account for the show at issuespod. Should we talk about comics?
Yeah.
I'm sure I've missed something, but let's talk about comics. Jane.
Yes. The screensaver is mesmerising.
Oh, it's a nice screen. There's a screensaver behind me.
Yeah, sorry, I got really distracted. It's hypnotising me. Yes.
I thought I had a growth on my shoulder, but no.
We might have.
Wow, it'd be really big if it was. Yeah. No growth on your shoulder. Yes, I'm going to talk about a one-shot that I picked up this week. I described this to Nick as something out of my comfort zone. And it's a Harley Quinn holiday special. Mm-hmm. Harley Quinn is a character that I am not afraid of, but I'm cautious of. I'm not necessarily on board with how her character, in the sense that she is quite mentally unhinged.
Yes.
And it's a bit uncomfortable. I've read very small amounts. What I've seen has made me feel a bit uncomfortable. And she's extremely resexualized as well, which, is not new for female characters in comics.
It is kind of weird in her case, because she's introduced as that's her role, is she's obsessed with the Joker, isn't she? And she's in a kind of an emotionally abusive relationship with him, which is a bit weird. I've never really been that comfortable with it. But her as a character has always intrigued me. But I've never really wanted to commit to reading too much in case I'm like, oh... And I don't, and it just sort of puts me off a lot of things at once, which it could do. Yeah. So I saw this Christmas special, and I thought, oh, where's Christmas? How bad's it going to be? And it isn't that bad. It's
put that on the cover.
It isn't that bad. It's a series of different stories by various different artists and writers. So there's Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti and others that are too far away for me to see. Cameron Stewart's on the front, and I imagine he's probably done a pin-up. There's a couple of pin-ups in the back of this issue. The first story focuses on Harley Quinn having to give away her pets. This is something I didn't know about Harley Quinn, being obsessed with cats and dogs and pets and cute things. I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know.
There's a theme in this.
I was unaware of that. She's quite cutesy, but I was unaware of that being a thing.
Oh,
more than any other character, she's been through so many iterations, though, because she's so. It's possible that in one version, in the most recent iteration, she's like that. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's something I actually liked about her character, so I hope it's something that is fundamental to it, that she likes cats and dogs. Anyway, she has too many, and her friend, it's not the Joker, some dude who I don't really like, and I don't think she should be with if he is her partner. I don't think he's good for her. Says that she has to get rid of them all. So the way they do it is they go to the local shopping centre, mall, as you call them, over the water. That sounded really horrible, didn't it?
What, in the Isle of Wight?
No, in Africa.
Kehaar.
They decide to help people with their shopping to their car and then smuggle in one of the pets into their shopping. It's really amusing, and she's very sad to give away her pets, and there's one little puppy she's bonded with called a Boo that she's bonded with in particular, and she's kind of regretting giving him away, so comes up with a really clever idea to beat up some policemen to get the address of the home of the dog that she's given away. Well, not the home, the owners of the dog.
I assume this is set like pre-internet, because she could have just looked it up on Google.
She got this look in her eye, and this was what she was going to do.
Fair enough. I mean, it's one solution, isn't it?
Yeah, so she obtains a vehicle and drives to the house, and it gets very scary, silly, and cute at the same time. And the second story has got really, really gorgeous artwork. This first story is by Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, obviously. The two obviously go very well. The story itself is really, really well written. The art's incredible as well. But the story, I really, really like the story, the dialogue, because there's a very spoilt little girl who ends up being the owner of the new puppy, and the dialogue between her and Harley Quinn and her dad and things is just really spot on. It was really quite funny, and it did that balance of being uncomfortable and actually being quite funny was quite well kept.
They're very closely associated. That pairing is very closely associated with Harley Quinn, isn't it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
they're
doing.
Good.
I think they're doing the ongoing series. So.
Oh wow! Okay, if that's the case, then I might have to see if I can jump in at some point and pick up a few issues.
Get on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just whizzing to the next.
It's good. It's in guided view. You're looking at it on your phone, aren't you? Is that Comixology?
Yes, it is.
When Jane said that the comic was very far away, it's because she's looking at it. I'm not holding it across the table from her.
Because it's really small on my phone.
She said it's very far away, but actually, it was very small. I think there's an episode of Ted that you could... Father Dead. Spoilers. I think there's an episode of Father Ted you need to watch, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no, sorry, the second issue's by Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti. Oh, and this one I really like. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to go back and check if the first one's by. Oh, this one, yeah. The art's amazing in this. It's this really whimsy kind of pop gothy kind of style, and it's really pastel-y but really really vibrant as well, and it's about a humbug, a literal bug that hums in your ear for 2 days, Christmas songs, and Harley Quinn has got this bug. She's trying to get rid of it.
He sounds like a prick.
Yeah. And again, the whole balance of sane, insane, rational, irrational, and not quite being as damaging as you think she's going to be comes across. And she has to seek Santa's help to get the humbug out of her ear.
It's never occurred to me before, but basically she's the nearest thing in the DC universe to Deadpool in terms of what they can do with the character. Now they can basically
don't think you're far off, actually, maybe, yeah.
I suppose. And the last story, which is by... Oh, that's by Amanda Conner and Jim Palmiotti. Maybe do all of them. Oh, they wrote it, sorry. And Darwin Cook did the art on this one.
Oh, awesome. It was a bit of a reaction, sorry. Darwin Cook's good, though.
Positive reaction, I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
In this story, Harley Quinn has a grey hair.
Oh.
And she kind of misinterprets what Christmas is about. Or, actually, no. I think I misinterpreted what she thought... What she misinterpreted.
It's become very metatextual all of a sudden.
Because it seems like there's some sort of story about an old man at Christmas, then a new baby in a new year. Something I don't know about. Or she's confused.
I feel sick in my tummy. What's going on?
Well,
I don't know, I'm getting vertigo.
I think that's what Harley Quinn's all about, really.
Yeah, that's true enough, actually. Yes.
But she has to find someone called Father Time.
Father Time's a person. He's on Jules Holland every year.
He is.
The Hogmanay.
Yeah, Old Father Time's Jules Holland Christmas, New Year Hogmanay recorded in October.
Yeah.
Well... Okay.
Yeah,
so it's a real story, then.
Hogmanay? Yeah, it's a real thing.
No, Father Time.
Old Father Time, yeah.
Old Father Time, yeah. He's an old
dude.
So
what's the thing, then?
Oh, no one knows.
Well, it's like he's a bit... He always reminds me a bit of the Grim Reaper, but he sort of... He signifies the sort of the end of the year, doesn't he? And then it's sort of like a baby Father Time.
He becomes a baby at the end of the year.
Beginning of the year.
The beginning of the year, and then But the end of the year is also the beginning of the year, James. It is cosmic, as Rodney off Only Fools and Horses might say. He's a bit like the Roman god Janus or Janus, who's named after Samantha Janus. Yeah, one looking forward into the year, the other looking backwards into the year that January is named for.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's that kind of a thing.
Is January a two-faced month?
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so she has to... She knows who Father Time is and goes to an old people's home to get Father Time, and is almost... Well, you're a little bit tense when she's encountering a family with a very small young baby, and you think, oh my God, she's too sort of endeared by them. But nothing bad happens then. And she finds who she thinks is Father Time, and things get all a bit out of hand. But it has a happy ending.
Yeah.
The first story, I got this completely wrong. The first story is written by Amanda Conner with and Jimmy Palmiotti, with art by Morisset, M-A...
Oh, Moritat.
Moritat, yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Moritat. And I will just check the second story.
Did he do The Spirit? That series of The Spirit by David Hine.
Yeah.
I do like Moritat's.
And the second story was written by Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti with art by Brent Peters.
Oh,
that's the art. That's the art I was talking about. It's quite poppy and gothic, and I really like that. It's really.
It's the only one out of those three that I didn't know. That's quite cool. Sounds like a nice new art experience for you.
Yeah, I will definitely. If I see his name on something else, I'll definitely be picking it up. I'm not sure where Cameron Stewart comes into it. There are a couple of pin-ups.
There'll probably be pin-ups and cover and stuff like that.
It doesn't. Yeah, maybe do the.
How did you find the length of the thing? I always, whenever I've picked up annuals. Right, I've got a mindset now with comics that if it's any more than about 22 pages, I start to get resentful.
Oh, no, it was 3 stories, so
Yeah.
that sort of kept it going. It was 41 pages.
Yeah, no, that's like, it's double size, isn't it? And I get a bit upset. It's like, well, if I wanted a trade, I'd have picked one up.
Okay.
It was only $2.99. It was a bargain.
Hey, that is a bargain as it goes.
Sounds like it was a tense experience. Sounds like you were constantly expecting it to freak you out.
Well, no, because she is always on the verge of freaking out about something. You're like, oh, how violent is she going to get? And and this is me not having any preconception about Harley Quinn other than her being a bit unstable and her really not very healthy relationship obsession with the Joker, which I haven't read much. I haven't read a whole story. I don't know a huge amount about her character. But from the writing, the vibe you get from her is that she feels a bit like she's going to lose it any second and then she's going to do something a bit crazy. I
don't think we're good enough geeks to know this, but there's a Dungeons and Dragons chart that it's like a nine square thing, and it's chaotic good, chaotic neutral, chaotic bad, and she's clearly chaotic neutral, isn't she? Yeah. You just don't know what she's going to do. Sometimes chaotic bad, but generally sweet natured. So chaotic neutral.
Chaotic evil, I think. It's not bad. It's
chaotic evil. So that's kind of weird. And she does, the way you describe it, she sounds a lot like the way Deadpool gets treated. Which is quite cool. Only without the gender stuff. But
when I used to play AD&D, I'd play. I seem to play chaotic good characters.
And I said that I find her overly sexualized as you do. Actually, in all 3 stories, there's not. Her outfit's a bit like, wow, what's holding her boobs up, but. There's no reference to it. No one's gawking at her tits or anything like that. There's nothing that makes you feel like she's been sexualized.
Off panel they are.
There's just if you broaden out the panel, there's just hundreds of people
just staring at her boobs. What's holding them up?
There's that Looney Tunes wolf.
Yeah, just hundreds of that Looney Tunes wolf. I think Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti are quite good at walking that line, though. Yeah. Just generally between cheesecake and good-natured humour and stuff. And I think this series seems to have shaken off. It started out quite controversially with them getting there was a page of script that was in a competition where they were getting artists to try out on a page.
Okay.
And there was a scene where she was in a bathtub trying with a toaster or something, and there was a lot of controversy about the fact that this is it's a character, it's part of a competition, and it's a female character in the process of committing suicide or something like that, and it caused a little bit of it wasn't presented particularly well, and it seems to have shaken that off, a lot of that early controversy off, which I think is probably because they've got a really nice touch for that sort of thing.
If you get the balance right, then it's you've got a really well developed character that is multi-layered, and she might do something a bit crazy, but she'll do something really ridiculously cute and at the same time.
Harley's a lot of fun.
That's who she is. Yeah, that's it. She's fun, but you don't feel like, oh, this doesn't sit right, or this is a bit exploitative, or this is a bit not very nice to mental health problems, or okay, I wish I'd stop touching her boobs now, or anything like that. It's not.
I like it though when she's interacting with the Joker. They make for a really terrifying Bonnie and Clyde sort of pair.
Because she quite often shows up with Poison Ivy and that.
Oh, it was wasn't it Gotham City Sirens, and it was Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Harley Quinn. I read that series, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, are any of those other characters in it, or is it mainly just her?
No, it's just her in that one.
They fell out at the end of it.
But that was DC-50. That was before the DC-52, anyway, wasn't it?
That was before the Dark Times, before the DC-52. It was actually. It was cancelled. 52.
I was having a conversation with a colleague a couple of days ago about why things retain that new, the new, what's it called? Preface to the name.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the New 52, but we were talking about
New Labour.
Yeah, and I was like, well, it's just ridiculous. How long can something retain that new? And then he pointed out that we live in the middle of the New Forest.
The all-new Shmoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no one knew who the old Shmoo was.
No.
But we live in the middle of the New Forest, and that's been there for, 1,000 years? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say 1,000 years.
A while.
Yeah. Have there been any, as someone asked me on Twitter, have there been any new forests since that one?
Is there an old forest?
I don't know. It's really like history's confusing, guys.
I guess if it's just a name, it's not like 52 new. It's New 52, so it's the name of it, isn't it?
I'm pretty confident the New Forest isn't a marketing ploy.
How confident?
Oh, I'd say at least 60-40.
Okay. Thank you,
That's
Jane.
not very confident. You're welcome. Thanks, Nick.
Pretty good for me.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking out the ongoing series.
Is that $2.99 or £2.99?
It was £2.99. It was $2.99 converted. It was £2.99 on Comixology.
That still sounds pretty good, though.
Yeah,
sounds like a lot of comic.
Definitely got my money's worth.
I am still diligently buying 2000 AD, but I need to catch up on a lot of it.
That is so stressful. I hate having a stack of 2000 AD. They mount up so quickly.
So I have Prog 1911. We're getting listeners of this show who also used to listen to the Momcast might know this little known nugget of information about 2000 AD.
I believe in its current usage, you could describe that as a factoid.
It's a factoid. Yeah. Which is that each prog of 2000 AD is made in the year of the number. So this one was made in the year 1911. But the problem is that each prog uses up all of the resources of that year. So for me to have this issue, this prog 1911 in my hands, that means the year 1911 has just ceased to exist.
Do we know how the impending Great War is going to affect production of 2000 AD?
We don't, but I mean, I think as awful and tragic and terrible and evil as the circumstance of the Great War.
A war is bad, and I think we can endorse that as a podcast. Janie, behind us?
Yes.
Good.
War is...
Yeah, it's bad.
What is it good for? But it turns out...
Well, settling border disputes.
And I think what it means, though, is that the progs of 2000 AD that use up those resources are going... Because conflict's great for stories. I think they're going to be more awesome.
Also good for the munitions industry.
If it uses up the year that it represents in its issue... How are we still here?
Yeah, my grandmother was born in 1905. Hold on. This is...
It's a good question, Jane.
You're starting to forget her, Jane.
Does that mean... She did die a very long time ago, Jane.
No, but I mean, is she fading in a Back to the Future kind of way?
Who are we talking about now?
It's a very good question, Jane, and only one person knows the answer.
Is that Lee Gallagher?
It's
Tharg,
yeah.
Who is the editor, the alien editor of 2000 AD. But it's funny you should mention Lee Gallagher, because the only story... This prog only has 3 stories in it. It's the continuation of Grey Suit and Stickleback, but there is a Judge Dredd one-off story written by Alec Worley, who's very good, and drawn by friend of us and our podcasts, Lee Gallagher.
Oh, I like Lee Gallagher.
And I think it's the best Dredd he's done, because he's done Dredd before, but I think this one's really, really good. It's a story of Judge Dredd is chasing this criminal who has taken over a bus full of old people. It's like a tour bus full of old people.
So it's like Cocoon and Speed mashed together.
Yeah, and there are lots of references to Speed, the film, and stuff like that. It's quite a funny story. It is a one-off. I think next issue is when the Dark Judges story that they've been teasing for the last 5 years or something.
I think that's in the annual.
Is that going to be the next?
Yeah,
I guess the next issue might be the annual.
Yeah, so 2000 AD 2015. That's going to be. I will be picking that up, because you're right. That is the Return of the Dark Judges.
It's exciting.
Very exciting.
It's a really good story. I haven't read the rest of the prog, but it's fun and probably quite a decent palate cleanser from the endless. There was a story written by John Wagner with art by Carlos Esguerra immediately before this that I really liked to begin with, but went on a little bit, so it was good. I need to catch up because Stickleback's been in it, and I love Stickleback. Anyway, so that's 2000 AD. Jane's right. Lee should be getting more of the stuff he wants to draw. I picked up Spiderverse Team-Up at number 2. It's a bit of an odd one because I didn't pick up the first one. I think I ended up reading it on Comixology. I'm really enjoying Spider-Verse. I don't think it's the sort of series that it's the sort of story that really would need people to boost it, particularly because it is one of Marvel's best promoted, best known franchise crossover-y things.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Because I'm right out of the Spider Universe at the moment. After I enjoyed buying monthly Spider-Man comics, but I haven't done for well over a year. Who's Spider-Man at the moment?
Peter Parker.
Oh, he's back, is he?
It's been Peter Parker's body for the longest forever, pretty much. But yes, Dr. Octopus was in Peter Parker's body for a little while. He's and Peter Parker wasn't in. His mind was in his body for a little while. He isn't there anymore. It's now Peter Parker.
Where's Dr. Octopus gone?
I think he's dead now.
Oh,
his body's been dead a little while, but he's. I was thinking about this comic in the shower this morning, actually, and I'll ruminate on that a little bit in a minute. Spider-Verse is this year at DC and Marvel is definitely going to be the year of the multiverse. Normally, what happens, especially at DC, is every 5 or 6 years they get really stressed out about how many different versions of everything they've got going on. They stage a giant event that is supposed to clear all of that continuity up, and then within 20 minutes, because they do a bad job of it, they end up recreating the same problem all over again. But this year seems to be the year that both DC and Marvel are really embracing the fact that they've got this multiverse thing going on, where there are all of these different, or every different version of all of these characters, especially at Marvel, every different version of all of these characters you've seen exists in their own Earth. The Marvel, the main, I've heard so many podcasts where they explain this in the last couple of weeks, but the main Marvel universe where most of the comics take place is Earth 616, and then I don't know why it's 616, and then there's a whole bunch of other worlds. There's apparently, I've learned from Rachel and Miles explain the X-Men.
Oh, here we go. There is enough of David Wynn on Twitter going on and on about Rachel and Miles explaining.
There is an Earth.
He used to love us once upon a time,
Yeah.
you know. It's people can really change.
I can't imagine why he'd be embracing their positive energy.
Oh yeah, they don't berate him ever.
Yeah. And but apparently there's a Marvel iteration in the multiverse where it's exactly the same as the 616, but everything is on fire. All the time.
Brilliant.
Which I think is good.
Good for Johnny Storm.
Yeah, I think so. He's probably the only one who isn't on fire. And the only one who can feel fire.
Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, probably, because he wouldn't be unique in that universe, would he? No.
But, both companies are doing big events over the summer that seem to be about all of these different parallels, stuff happening with all of these different universes. What's weird at Marvel is they're also doing one, and this series will probably tie into the bigger stuff later on, but they're also doing the same thing, but for Spider-Man specifically. Like the X-Men are having their own alternates thing going on, but the Spider-Verse, they've gone nuts with it. It's called the Spider-Verse. The conceit is stupid. There is, at the center there's a main timeline where there's this race called this family of ancient beings called the Inheritors, one of whom was introduced during J. Michael Straczynski's run over a decade ago, who live on, they're basically energy vampires. They live on spider-men or spider-persons. They call them spider totems. And so what they do is they go to each of these different, they're like vampires, they go to each of these different parallels and eat spider people. And the spider people find out about this because of stuff that happens in the 616. And so they start to go across all the different parallels and join up because they figure the only way we can fight these super powerful vampire people is by making an army of spider people. So far, it's not really working. They keep getting killed. Yeah. Lots of spider people keep getting killed.
Why don't they make an army of things that they don't want to kill?
I don't know, but they found a particular world where a particular version where the vampires can't go. So now there are lots of problems with this story. The biggest one for me is that one of the best things about Spider-Man, this was a problem when J. Michael Straczynski first introduced this whole totem thing. The whole point of the Marvel Universe, the whole point of Spider-Man is you're supposed to be able to relate to him. He's supposed to be a relatively normal, albeit a smart, nerdy kid, but he's supposed to be a relatively normal kid who this weird accident happened to, and now he's making the best of it. He's suddenly got these powers and he's doing all these things. And a lot of the charm of the character is that he has these normal relationships. It's all wild and crazy and there's loads of ideas thrown at it, but the real core of it is he's this normal guy who this all happened to by accident. And this idea, this mythology breaks that a little bit. It makes it bigger. And I have heard people complaining a little bit about the fact that the stakes seem really high because it's all of these different spider people, and they keep getting killed. Awful things keep happening to them. And it's quite violent as well. But you don't really care about any of them. You don't really know any of them. And that's also a problem with it. And the other problem I have a little bit with it is it's so soon on the back of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man again that we haven't really got the chance to see how he's dealing with that before this all happens. But all that said, it's so much fun. It's like this ridiculous roller coaster. Considering the carnage that's happening, the amount of fun they're having, inventing new spider people, using spider people that they had before, sticking Miles Morales from the Ultimate Spider, the Ultimate Universe, in with all of these other characters. They've invented a Spider Gwen who comes from Gwen Stacy, who became a Spider Person instead of Peter Parker, and her universe is very she's in like a punky poppy girl band, and it's all about her teen girl life. Mayday Parker, who's Spider-Girl from one version of the future, she's turned up, and she's a much-loved fan character as well. Spider-Ham
nice
is in it, and he was a character from the 80s. There was a series of kid-oriented Marvel comics about all of these characters. And there's this extra weird wrinkle where they put out a couple of the Superior Spider-Man issues where Dr. Octopus was Spider-Man out of sequence.
Okay.
They showed you a couple of issues out of sequence recently. And what happens in those is that because there's all sorts of time travel screwing with it as well, he's fighting this battle against these vampires at the same time as Peter Parker currently is. So Peter Parker's getting to see this other version of him in action. It's weird, but it's really fun. Now, that's a lot of setup. I'm sorry.
Oh God, was that only the setup?
Yeah, that was. Sorry. Spiderverse Team-Up is completely different again in that there are a whole bunch of spin-off books going. It is expensive and silly, and as far as I can tell, you can get away with just reading a couple of core books. But this one has a couple of stories in. One featuring Spider-Gwen, who is this huge fan favorite. It is one of the nicest new costume designs ever, I think. That's like, she's got a really nice cowl and stuff. Cool. It's really cool. And that story, there are two stories in this. That one's written by Jerry Conway, with art by Stephen Sanders, and is okay. She is trying to, she's gone to an alternate where Peter Parker became Spider-Man. All of the same people died. He killed the Green Goblin and became the Green Goblin. So she's trying to save Peter Parker, who's the Green Goblin. It's a bit played straight and a bit boring. It's all right. The art's nice, but it's a bit like not that interesting. But the other story is written by Christos Gage with art by Dave Williams and Dexter Vines. It's called Too Many Spider-Men, and it's Miles Morales from the Ultimate Universe has gone to the universe where, do you remember James will remember this, Jane might not, but everyone knows the song, the Spider-Man cartoon James and I grew up with. Spider-Man does whatever, that one. Yeah. So he's gone to that universe to try and save that Spider-Man, But at some point he's met the Spider-Man from the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon from a couple of years ago.
Sure.
And so this isn't really something for a new reader to pick up.
No.
You have to have at least a passing knowledge of these things for it to really resonate, because it's one of those things that only exist to exist.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun.
One for the Spider fans.
Yeah, yeah. The artist, but you can be a lapsed Spider fan and it's still fun.
Good.
The artists Dave Williams and Dexter Vines do such a good job of, Miles Morales is still drawn like Miles Morales.
Yeah, yeah.
The Ultimate Spider-Man from the cartoon has this cel-shaded look that cartoon had, but they're in the old Amazing Spider-Man cartoon,
which looks exactly
and it looks
like
exactly
the
the
old cartoon.
same. They all talk.
Available on Netflix if you've not seen it.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
They all talk the way you'd expect to. There's a moment where in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, there's a conceit where he talks to camera a lot.
Okay.
There's a moment where they fit that in.
Oh, well.
It really plays with the different genres, and it plays with the dates as well, because the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon was 1967. Wow. They make certain assumptions about his ideology.
Okay.
That are played with quite a lot. It's really fun. Even if you've only got a passing interest in Spider-Man, it's definitely worth picking up that issue. One of the other books, I think it's the Edge of Spider-Verse book, had some really interesting inlays where you got to see what happened when the vampires went after the Twinkies advert version of Spider-Man and the newspaper cartoon version of Spider-Man. It's really, they're having so much fun. And that's the thing really that counters does any of it really matter? And does it really fit with Spider-Man? Well, not really, but it's just so much fun. The only thing I've read that was even remotely as fun as this, that dealt with a similar thing, was there was a comic called Elseworld's Finest from a few years ago that I think was written by Evan Dorkin, which is all about Mr. Mixoplitziclitz and Batmite.
Mixoplitziclitz?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his name.
And Batman,
not Mitsoplex then.
No. And Batmite having a battle that rages, a fight that rages across all of the multiverse, and that had a similar look. We can either see these different worlds as realities as a problem, or we can just have loads of fucking fun with them.
It's fun. My daughter likes to pretend to be Ace the Bat Hound.
Yeah?
Yeah, occasionally.
I imagine there are so many comic fans who are horrified by the thought of Ace the Bat Hound.
No, I think they should bring Ace the Bat Hound back. Hey, you got the Bat Cow, haven't you? So why not bring back Ace?
And finally, I just want to talk about a comic I don't think anyone's really talked about. It's quite a fringe comic.
It is. I've seen no press, no chatter online about it at all.
It's from Image. It's $3.50 and it's Bitch Planet by Kelly Sue DeConnick. And, gosh, that's terrible. I should know. It's the artist is somebody Landro. This is awful.
You can edit that together to sound like
I'll edit it together so that it looks like I thought the credits would be on the front page.
Yeah,
There's so much nudies.
These bloody modern comics with their pages where the information is in the middle, and
they want to be films. That's the problem.
Kids today.
Kelly Sue DeConnick script, art by Valentine Landro, colours by Chris Peter. This is... I was quite excited about this when I heard about it a while ago, because Kelly Sue DeConnick writes good comics, and I really liked Pretty Deadly. Once I got in sync with it, I really liked Captain Marvel, and then over the last few days, I've been starting to fret about it a little bit, because people have been going on so much about it that I was like, for some reason, I was thinking, well, if I listen too much to this, it's going to get built up too much for me. I won't like that. At the same time, it's annoying. It's become very hip all of a sudden. That's the sort of, there's lots of people outside of comics talking about it, which is good, but at the same time can sometimes be, it's lots of noise and fuss and doesn't always amount to very much.
Yeah.
And also Pretty Deadly was weird to begin with. So Kelly Sue DeConnick can experiment quite a lot. She does experiment quite a lot with the form, and that's good. But I wasn't entirely sure that I'd be able to pick up on it straight away, that I'd enjoy it straight away. It's a comic it's a sci-fi comic set in...
That's short for science fiction.
Short for science fiction.
Yeah, thank you.
Or sci-fi, as someone said to me the other day.
Yeah, short for science fiction.
Well, I thought that was fiction about the sky, very specifically about the sky. God, there's a lot of nudity.
Yeah, it's set in a future world where we haven't seen that much of the Earthside stuff so far. We just get a sense of very corporate culture, very patriarchal, but it doesn't really push that agenda too much. It's making some political points. It's looking at things from a very feminist perspective, but it isn't a super political comic, which is good because I think that's the best way to get most messages across. Anyway, the bulk of the story though takes part on a prison planet called Bitch Planet. People nickname it Bitch Planet. It's a place where they send people to work on their compliance. The term compliance is used a lot euphemistically throughout it. It's all we only see women being sent to this prison. As James pointed out, it is quite there is nudity in it from pretty much the beginning. There's violence in it later on as well. It's not an all ages read, but it's pretty great. You get introduced to a handful of the new prisoners going to this planet. As I said, you see a little bit of how they're kept under control and what the selection process is for people to go out there. You learn that some of them are murderers, but some of them are just dissidents, but we don't know what that means in this world. I suspect it doesn't mean as much as you'd like it to. It just basically means, have opinions, I think. And
not like Russell Brand then.
Yeah, a bit like Russell Brand.
Like Russell Brand.
And soon after they get to the prison planet, there's kind of friction orchestrated between the prisoners and the guards. The establishment orchestrates this, so it starts out with a big brawl. It kind of, there's more action going on later on. To say too much about it is kind of besides the point, because it's worth a read anyway. It's a prison. It's a story set on a prison. All of the inmates are women. There's a grindhouse thing going on here. It's very deliberately vibrant and explicit. And to say DeConnick and Landro are having fun with it sounds weird considering the subject matter, but definitely it looks gorgeous. The art is really clear, and the characters are all the characterization is all the women are all very specific, different types. They all look different from each other. They all look angry, but I guess that's just people in prison.
Oh, Bitch Planet, man! It's not a holiday camp.
It's just really, really good. There is a social conscience to it, but it's also just really meaty fun. What it reminds me of, and I'm guessing that the respective creative teams were really stressed out when they saw each other's comics. It's quite similar to a story. Well, it's not similar. It's in a similar setting to begin with to a story that Alex de Campi had in her Grindhouse series from Dark Horse, I think last year, with art by Simon Fraser, which was set on a prison ship that was all women, and was also quite violent and graphic. But it's not that similar. It's a similar sort of setting and a similar sort of aesthetic, but they are very different comics. There's some back matter that I haven't had a chance to really drill down into yet, but it looks like people are already getting tattoos.
It's another thing that annoys me.
Back matter, you don't like it, do you?
I don't like too many pages, and I don't want pages of prose. Like first time I read Watchmen, I almost put it down after the first. Well, it's all right.
Too much stuff in the back.
What's all this prose for?
What I think is that there's lots of hype about this comic, and I actually think it's better than the hype.
Good.
But it's really different from the hype as well. I think people are going to talk about it a lot like it's the second coming, and that's going to put a lot of potential readers off. But it's just really like solid, fun comics. When I say fun, horrible things happen to people in it. But it's just really vibrant and rich.
That can be fun if it isn't happening to real people.
Yeah, if it isn't happening to you, generally.
Well, they're not real people.
I said something about how, like, I said to James earlier on that whenever something gets this much attention and hype, it feels like it's a big bubble, but it's full of, the hype is a big bubble, but it's full of helium. And sometimes the strength of the actual thing itself can really get lost in a lot of the fuss about it. It's really worth a read. It's really good. I liked it a lot.
Good.
And I'll be getting the next one. So that's new comics. Let's go listen to Kehaar from Dissecting World. He's going to say all of that when he talks to the listener about, I think it's called Darkie's Mob. It's a really problematic name.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Especially if you've got it wrong.
I think it's probably fine. We'll let him talk about it.
Hello, Isheries. This is Clarky from Dissecting Worlds discussing Darkie's Mob. I collected hardback volume of John Wagner on scripting and Mike Weston on art duties. Toxically grim World War II Burma strip from the pages of Battle Picture Weekly. John Wagner? Yes, John Wagner. That John Wagner? Yeah, Judge Dredd, John Wagner. Darkie's Mob ran in the 70s in Battle, which was kind of a World War II war story equivalent to 2000 AD. In that it told grimier and more visceral anti-heroic stories than established rivals like Commando or Warlord. Garth Ennis, in the introduction to this volume, just says, "This is how you start a story," and I think it's good enough. I'm just going to read it. "This is the story of a madman, a hard, cruel son of Satan who led us into the very pit of hell and laughed about it. Then he began to turn us into animals, the most savage fighting force the chaps had ever known." Now, so far so much kind of pulp cliches, but this is, compared to kind of the sanitised view of war that you got in a lot of strips, this is meaty stuff. I shan't give away too much of the plot or the secret of Joe Darkie, who just comes across a bunch of stranglers in the jungle in the retreat from Burma and takes over and leads them into Japanese territory, where they start to prey amongst the occupation forces, gradually being whittled down by their encounters with the Imperial Japanese Army. I shan't give that away, because it's a nice twist, and it's nicely foreshadowed as you go through the story. The artwork by Mike Weston, I don't want to get him confused with Chris Weston. The artwork by Mike Weston is great. Mike Weston served in World War II himself. There's a great attention to detail. There's it was the same guy who drew the Sarge in Battle Picture Weekly. There's kind of a great use of light and shade. These are black and white strips, but you don't feel you're missing the colour. There's almost expressionistic use of light and shade, or a noir use of light and shade, which kind of suits the heavy atmosphere of the Burmese jungles. So, one word of warning, this was written in the 70s. It was written about one of the conflicts in World War II that was toxic, with race issues. The language used to refer to the Japanese, and to some extent the Burmese, is not comfortable reading to modern eyes. So if you can read it and accept that it was written in a different time in a different place, and John Wagner has said he regrets the language used, well, I hate to say, I suspect it's very toned down from the language that would have been used by Europeans fighting in theatre. But if you say about it, it's well worth catching hold of. So that's Darkie's Mob. The publisher is Titan Books, of course. So I recommend that. This Kehaar from Dissecting Worlds. Sounding off.
When do you think the authority's going to catch up with Kehaar? He's on the run, isn't he?
Do you think? Oh yeah, I think he might be.
Yeah.
It's he's always, these contributions are coming to us from a number of secret locations.
My favourite, if you go back and listen to some of the Moncasts, I think, because I know for a fact, I hope this isn't giving too much away about his secret identity, I know for a fact he has to take the Mersey ferry, or a ferry across the Mersey, and I think he's recorded one on a ferry. You
said that wrong. Anyway, it's not ferry across the Mersey.
All right, sorry.
It's ferry across the Mersey.
Across.
Across
would be the correct word.
Not up there, it isn't.
Is it not?
No.
Okay. Very proud culture.
They don't need all of the letters.
No, they don't need. They got they're too busy writing pop songs.
So thank you, Kehaar, for that.
Yeah.
Not this week's, but the latest episode of Dissecting Worlds was very good.
It's always very good.
Yes.
Apart from the episode I was on, I kind of dragged it down a bit.
Yes. It's the I'm not even going to pretend anymore. Yeah, you're right. It was as bad as you think it was.
Yeah, no, it was. I've still not been able to listen to it the whole way through. I'm just, oh, God.
The latest episode is about the intersection between spies and the supernatural in fiction, and it's very interesting. James has a faraway look in his eyes.
Do you mean like
He's thinking.
Do you mean like was it the young Sherlock Holmes and the knight that came out of the window?
They didn't cover that, but yeah, I think it's exactly like that.
I mean, he wasn't strictly speaking a spy; he was a detective. But
you can hear this is James trying desperately to reconcile with his performance on that. It's too late now.
What about when Mata Hari and Casper had that team up? That was good.
It turns out there are many more links between the two than one might expect.
Trying to think of another famous spy that isn't James Bond. That bloke off The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
David Niven. He wasn't on The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
No, he played James Bond, didn't he, in Casino Royale?
David Niven.
Who played James Bond in...
I think you're thinking of Craig Charles.
Yeah, that's right. Didn't David Niven just always played people piloting planes that were in peril?
No, he was Hercule Poirot's sidekick a few times.
Was he?
Yeah.
Who was it Eustace Poirot?
Yes.
Was he the one who used to jump out of nowhere and try and attack him whenever he went into his house?
No, that was Keitel.
Keitel?
Yeah.
Who was he played by? Bruce Lee?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, cool. James, have you got something to talk about?
I like reading comics, but I've found over the last year or so that our income's been stretched because we're all in this together. So rather than, because I had a very unhealthy monthly comic book habit.
Broken Britain.
Thank you. So I decided that I would start using our local library as a resource for picking up library books. No, comic books.
Comic library books.
You're technically right.
I am, in many ways, wrong. So from time to time I'll go there and I'll pick up a bunch of trades or whatever they've got available. So it's an interesting way to select books because it's a relatively small selection and it's incredibly eclectic. From relatively obscure small press stuff to, collections of newspaper strips to straight up relatively current superhero books. The book I picked up this time isn't a current superhero book, but it is a superhero book. It's a collected edition of Diana Prince Wonder Woman.
Do you want a timer?
What?
Do you want a timer?
What?
Do you want a timer?
I don't want any fucking whiskey. What are you talking about?
Do you want a timer?
Yeah, do it. Let's have
10 minutes.
Let's have 10 minutes on the clock. I can probably do 10 minutes on this.
Go.
This is a treasure trove of humour. Obviously, Wonder Woman came into being around 1947 in the golden age of comic books by what's his face, the
William Moulton Marlin,
the pervert. And by the early 70s, sales had dropped off the edge of a cliff. Wonder Woman was on the cusp of being dropped. Bloody hell.
Was that good?
That was brilliant. I like that.
When I wrote that in the script yesterday, I did not expect as strong a delivery as that.
She really sold it.
You nailed that. This ad lib was quite hard to come up with.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was about to be dropped. Brilliant. You sound a lot like the mouse, but my daughter's got a book of the Gruffalo, and it's one of those, picture and sound books.
I'm aware of this, James. I have read this book many times.
We know that one of the sound icons is the mouse. You sound exactly like the mouse.
That's what I was going for.
Seriously, listener, if you're in a bookshop this weekend, go to the children's section, find the Gruffalo sound and story book, and press the mouse.
I almost bought That's Not My Santa and That's Not My Reindeer because they're really good books. That's a really good series of books. But then I thought, what? They're only going to get used once. Babies grow out of that shit really quickly, don't they?
You can listen to more of this sort of chat on Two Grown Men.
That's exactly. I was doing an advert.
Yeah, it's brilliant, wasn't it?
During your review. Sorry, Karen.
That's nice. Okay, so the editor at the time left, and it was basically writing and editing was picked up by Denny O'Neill, and he formed a partnership, from what I can tell, mostly with Dick Giordano. And basically this is from the end of the series that they created. So in order to bring something new to the story, basically Diana was depowered. The Amazons decided they had to go off to another dimension to repower themselves, and Diana Prince decided to become immortal. A mortal.
Yeah, I thought you said
immortal. And along a way she befriended several people, including a chap called Ai Chang. Now, he was the first Apple product to teach people how to do the mystery martial arts. So basically, he became her mentor and her master. And at this point, we see him in this story. He's blind at this point as well. So he's kind of like a cross between, given this is the early 70s as well, it's a cross between Daredevil and Charlie Chang. Mm-hmm. So he's quite adept at fighting, but he keeps coming up with these sort of Eastern wisdom, if you like. He stopped short of saying Confucius say.
So a bit like Bruce Lee, if people dared make Bruce Lee say that stuff in films.
Yeah, that's true enough. So this collects the final run of Wonder Woman, and also includes a Brave and the Bold story that has Batman. That is written by Bob Hanley with Jim Aparo art, so a really classic-looking Batman.
I don't like Jim Aparo.
See, I really like it. I like his art.
I know
and I like,
you do.
Dick Giordano's got a much looser style than Aparo, although it still has that 70s vibe, if you like. I had to say one criticism of his work, his faces were a touch inconsistent, but he draws action really well. It flows really nicely. So the first story we have in here is Diana is essentially apparently hired by this sort of Peter Stringfellow type who runs a nightclub. He's a terrible sexist man. Sexism plays a big part in this story as well. She's a real women's libber. Mm-hmm. Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, and is always fighting this really shocking oppression in stories that are frankly a bit on the edge themselves.
Peter Stringfellow seems to be keeping his head down a bit at the moment, doesn't he? I'm not sure what that's all about.
The guy looks a bit in the comic looks a bit like Roger Moore.
Yes, he has very much got a sort of spy thing about him. Can you two talk while I find his name on yours? Johnny Double.
Roger Moore sounds. Yeah. I just realised it sounds like Have More Sex.
Wow.
Doesn't it, Roger Moore?
Oh.
I never noticed that before.
Oh.
He's Johnny Double. There was a comic called Johnny Double by Roger Moore.
This is like the Rugrats thing all over.
I'd like to have. I feel I haven't had enough sex. I'd like to Roger Moore.
I feel like I'm watching like a Newman and Baddiel bit.
Have you stepped out of your body?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Johnny Double was a comic by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso.
Sure.
So that must have been an update of this.
Well, I guess so. He's Johnny Double, Gentleman Snoop. They become not Snoop Dogg. He's a private dick, and they become entwined. So the first story is basically an elaborate plot to draw Diana Prince to an evil enemy that turns out to be Cyber, I think her name is, who's an evil metal-faced lady that's really got it in for Diana and all pretty ladies.
Oh,
and it's a very humorous, very convoluted, big villain piece. You know, it's a very elaborate plan to draw her into a very elaborate trap, when clearly sniping her from the top of the roof would have probably been the most sensible way to take her out.
Don't, James, all narrative falls apart when you start making comments like that.
That's true. But for all that, I love that. I love the overblown plotting of 1970s comics. It's makes me very happy, you know, to the point where there is an evil henchman with his mad gleaming eyes and big Lennon glasses. It's awesome. So that's a lot. Dr. Cyber, I beg your pardon. So that's
she's a doctor.
Yeah, she's a doctor.
You can't ignore that.
Well, yeah, it's not fair. She studied for 8 years to get that. I shouldn't knock her too much, should I? And basically, what she's decided, because Diana Prince disfigured her, she's going to have her face. So that no, that don't happen. And then we move on to a really mad story that's transdimensional. Basically, a mystical ruby takes them to a different land where they meet Fafard the barbarian and the Grey Mouser.
Wow.
And that too is obviously Ai Chang's daughter basically wants these two crystals. One is in a different dimension, one is in our own. Diana has to quest to get the diamond. The ruby, I beg your pardon, is transported to this far mystical land, and it's potty stuff, but it's overblown, crazy stuff. But there's tons and tons and tons of action, and it all looks very cool. There's also in this story Catwoman joins them in a very weird early 70s. She's got these very strange sort of, but I don't even know what you'd call those, but they're like buccaneer boots, aren't they?
Oh, Captain America has those, doesn't he?
Yeah, the sort of buccaneer boots and a sort of it's a weird costume.
Like weird boot cuffs.
Yeah, very odd. Move on to a Brave and a Bold story that's essentially about Diana Prince isn't in it very much. It's basically Bruce Wayne someone tries to con them, and he thinks he's being conned, thinks the worst of this individual, and finds out that actually things aren't always as they seem. He's frankly Batman at this point. It's still being written very much in Batman '66 style.
Yeah. So
it's very camp, very cheesy, very enjoyable, and I like Jim Apato's art, so I was very happy.
I don't like Jim Apato's art.
The final two stories, though, one Diana Prince Wonder Woman, which I believe it says here was the Women's Lib issue.
Oh my God!
Yep. So really focusing there on Women's Lib with that totally not sexualized woman in peril on the front cover. Basically, this was the reboot. So Denny O'Neill's run had finished, and they decided they were just going to reboot it back. And this is a mad, clunky reboot where basically she goes after the murderer. Spoilers: the murderer of Ai Chang loses her memory and ends up back with Hippolyta. Back on the island, and has.
So they just push the button.
Yeah, basically
they push the reboot button.
This is basically you're reading 22 pages of have you tried turning it off and on again, which is I can't even pretend it's camp silliness, but I was reading it. Oh no! It was a little bit, by today's standards, it was a little bit painful. You know, we bitch and moan about reboots in modern comics, but oh my God, it was freaking brazen. It was brilliant.
It sounds, I mean, the art was, the art looks quite interesting. Looks like very Modesty Blazy. It's very of its period. It's quite stylish and nice.
I'm almost gutted you said that because I reviewed a Modesty Blaze book some time ago from the library, and that's exactly who Wonder Woman reminds me of in Diana Prince Wonder Woman. It is Modesty Blaze.
Sounds like a really it's more historically interesting than narratively pleasing.
I would suggest it's a curio from Wonder Woman's past. Yeah. Interesting. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I know about it. But Danny O'Neill's a great writer, but I think I'm not sure the material was there. It was all a bit.
I think if you read up on the time, I don't know about this for definite, but I think if you read up on the time, looking at what it is, you'd find that they wanted to keep Wonder Woman around because it was the only character like that they had, but they were willing to try and rip off any currently popular zeitgeisty thing. So you've got martial arts in there, you've got the Modesty Blaze style stuff, you've got a barbarian.
Well, and she became remodeled as a mod as well.
Yeah.
So
She looks a bit more Avengers.
Yeah, absolutely. She's got a really modish,
the Diana Rigg sort of,
really, really modish look. My favourite part of this whole thing is when she comes back to the US after regaining her powers as Wonder Woman, and just suddenly stumbles into a job in the UN. Like, literally stumbles into a job in the UN.
Angelina Jolie.
But not only that, then apparently from nowhere meets these two women, and they all decide to share a flat. And it's just like, it's almost like I'm running out of pages. Oh, yeah, they just agreed to share a flat together. It's fine.
And the one with the smallest room pays less rent.
But for all that, and I'm picking it apart and I'm shitting on it, and it's very easy to do, isn't it? This remove to crap on something that's 40-something years old.
But like you said, it's a snapshot into the more about the time than the actual character and the story itself.
And it's a glorious one. And for all my snark, I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. I had a great time reading it. Like I say, a few moments, but it was really good fun. I'm not sure if it's still available. Obviously, it was available through Titan Books at £12.99 sterling. It will be available in Southampton Central Library in 3 weeks, and I take it back. If you can find it, you're a Wonder Woman fan. I think it's a really interesting curio of the time.
It's a really good idea as well to look at what publishers try to do to stay relevant and current and stuff, because it makes you realise, I imagine it makes it easier to be rational and balanced about what's happening with characters now. Look, anytime you say, "Oh, this character wouldn't do something like that," you're like, "There was a time when, there was a time when she had Kato." There was a time when Spider-Man had 6 arms, 8 arms. How many arms did he have?
8 would make sense.
Or maybe not if you count his legs.
And 2 legs.
There's
your 8.
Yeah, and stuff like that. It's just, they're literally, they will do anything they can to sell comics.
It's almost like they're trying to shift product.
It's almost like capitalism is real. Thank you for that, James. That was really interesting.
That sounds like that should be a They Might Be Giants album.
It's almost as if capitalism is real.
No, capitalism is real.
Capitalism is real. We live in it every day. Hang on. It's been recording. I just want to make sure it's still recording. Yeah, it is. It moves really slowly.
Fucking hell.
This new one does this thing where it compresses as you go and you can't see. It's tiny.
I don't care. I don't care about your problems. Don't make your fucking performers anxiety-ish.
I was all right. I knew he had it covered.
Oh, you're all right? So well, fuck my anxiety.
That's fine.
As long as you're all right. You're all right? You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fuck me then.
Thank you for that, James. That was awesome. How are you guys? You feel good? James feels anxious.
No, I've got anxiety.
I'm okay.
You're
that's
okay.
All that matters.
James really okay, and that's all that matters.
Am I convincing you?
I think that's us. I think we're practically done.
Okay.
Remains for us to thank Kehaar. Thank you, Kehaar. Thanks to our listener. Thank you, listener. You're awesome. Thanks to all of the people who have left feedback in the various places that they leave them. Do talk to us online. We want to know what you think. James doesn't care.
No. I care.
Jane cares. And talk to me and stuff. There is a Facebook page as well. I've started posting stuff a bit on Tumblr again. You can find links to all of these from the site. Thanks to David Wynn for the lovely music. Thanks
to David Wynn for all his promotion of Rachel and Miles Explaining X-Men.
Yep. Thanks to Mike Georgie for the logo. Thanks to you guys for being you guys. I'm looking at Jane and James at this point. I'm the only person who's been on this podcast whose first initial isn't J. That's weird. That's the sort of thing that haunts me at night.
That's a fact you're prepared to leave on this podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got some sort of fetish for J.
You
like its curve.
We're going to do list shows next.
I'm all about the J.
And you prefer it without its little hat as well.
J stands for junk. I prefer my junk without the little hat.
Yeah.
Well, J stands also for Jimmy Hat.
Let's say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Giordano.
Again?
Giordano.
Again?
Giordano.
Again?
Giordano.
What was the other name?
Apparo.
I love you.
Giordano. Apparo.
Giordano Apparo. Wow, I'm louder than you. Wow, this is a bit
what's
racist.
really good.
Oh. Whenever you try and, basically, when you do a voice, just imagine in your head, imagine in your head the colour of the skin of the person whose voice you're doing, and if it's light brown up or down, depending on how your scale works, consider not doing it.
But I had to tell you how he was talking to me. That was his fucking accent.
Are you going to say anything important, James?
No.
At any point on the podcast?
No.
So it probably doesn't matter if your mic does cut out then.
Oh, no, yeah, that's fine.
Amy. James.
Wow.
James is resentful.
Please don't call me Jamie.
I didn't. The thing is, I didn't call you Jamie, did I? I called you Amy.
You triggering fuck. You said Jamie. You said Amy Jamie.
Yeah, but I called you Jamie to try and make up for the fact that I called you the same name as my
I
wife.
fucking hate being called Jamie.
Well, I fucking hate that we're now at the point where I call you by my wife's name.
Do you shout my name when you orgasm?